Hi folks, with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the idea of plotting, scheming, sort of calculating women who target wealthy men or men with enough wealth that they can walk away from the relationship after a relatively short period of time with a free house and other assorted goodies. Now, given this is a premeditated sort of plan to defraud these men of a house, then and for these women to get a free house, then should this not be a crime? I mean, if you conspired and plotted to defraud anyone of a multi-million-dollar bit of property, it would be considered a crime. But because it's supposedly a marriage relationship, then and the feminist, the globalist feminist controlled narrative around this is that it's restorative justice. Men have oppressed women for centuries. Women therefore are entitled to extraordinary levels of compensation for this, to compensate back, a bit like the slavery reparations sort of concept. Women are entitled to reparations and equal outcomes, equity, all this sort of stuff. So anyway, so I'm going back in time. I was involved with an organization that was giving financial advice to women, and we were at the time, this is years ago, doing some work for them unrelated to that, and the sort of deputy CEO guy invited me along and to this forum where women were invited to wealth management type thing. So I was there, and one thing I noticed was that all the women who were there, like every single one of them, had all their money was from divorce, mostly divorce or inheritance, and there was one or two that had been gifted sort of very senior, well-paid affirmative action jobs, and they'd done rather well out of that. But they were from sort of wealthier end of town anyway. So, but none of these women had made any money themselves. Now, when you go to say a men's wealth creation thing, all of them, you might get the odd one or two this inheritance thing, but they've all made the money themselves. They've taken the risks, done the hard work, busted their ass at university, and they've done all the hard work to make that money. Not that there aren't some flakes in there, like law of averages, but there's very few men who have not made their own money, and they've worked hard to make it. Whereas with women, it's completely the opposite. None of them had worked hard to make the money. It was all through, they parasited off family or off a husband. Now, I've known a number of women over the years who have successfully targeted wealthy men. Now, I don't know how they do it, and there must be something in it that maybe I'm missing, but they've targeted wealthy men and managed to score themselves a free house on every occasion. And it's not, as a woman I know who's got, my wife knew originally, and I've met her and spoken to her, is that she's got 4 houses, and plus like share options and share portfolio and all this sort of stuff. So she lives a luxurious life, doesn't have to worry about money at all. Has quite luxurious holidays and vacations, drives a nice car, and wears she's not shopping at Walmart or Kmart or something. Wears the designer label clothes, and always has her hair done every second day, and that's the sort of lifestyle she leads. But she insists she's a victim. She insists that the patriarchy and misogyny, and she's a victim from these wicked Nazis and neo-Nazis are everywhere. She threatened at one sort of lunch we were at, where if anyone even mentioned Donald Trump's name, she threatened to leave the party just on the mention of his name. That's what a snowflake, delicate little flower she is, even though, again, she's she's managed to become quite wealthy. Now, her age, she worked for like 2 years as a kindergarten teacher or a kindergarten helper. So she's never worked a day in her life, for goodness sakes. And yet she'd be in the wealthiest 1 or 2% of Australians, just from the money she's stolen from men that she married or had a relationship with. Now she's just very good at, she bought an investment property, and so and this is how cunning and calculating this woman is. She bought an investment property, and then she decided to date a builder. So he was like a renovator type builder. So, and he renovated the whole thing for free for her in return for, I don't know, sexual favors or something. But so she got the whole house renovated to a high standard, incidentally. They weren't using, flat pack kits from Home Depot or something. We're talking top of the range stuff was put into this house, or put into the remodeling and the renovation. So this is, again, how calculating she is. But she insists that she's the victim. She is the victim of this. The fact that she deceived and conned and, stole large sums of money from these men. They could afford it. Well, why not? And it's only me, equalizing the outcomes because of the patriarchy or because of neo-Nazis. And that's just the way she looks at the world. But she's getting away. To my way of thinking, should she not be criminally charged with blatant conspiracy? In her view, she said, well, if I'm going to get married at all, given how evil and misogynist the patriarchy, how evil men are, I might as well marry a rich man. I might as well, not only can they keep me in a high standard of living while I've got a relationship with them, but when the relationship ends, I can get, a lot of stuff out of it. They got to give me a free house, and they're wealthy men. She target particularly rich men, men who own 10 houses, and they give her one when the relationship's over. So she says, well, they can afford it. They're richer than me, and why shouldn't I get these things? Why shouldn't I get free houses? I gave them sexual favors for years, and I cooked their dinner. So what's the problem? Anyway, she there's another woman recently that I came across who's sort of just like that. And again, I come back to this issue of why is it not criminal? And it's not, but why is it not criminal? So here's this woman. I met her recently through sort of a business type network thing. And she's about, mid-30s, I suppose, about 5'5" taller, 162 centimeters, probably weighs 125 pounds, 58 kilograms, somewhere around there. Fake blonde hair. So she's slimish, dresses well, puts on the makeup well, gives the impression of sort of an upper class chick. She's not, the sort of the vulgarity comes through. I can see it, but she's trying hard to look like and come across as an upper class chick. And she's been married and divorced twice, has a child to each man, like a 10-year-old and, I don't know, 7-year-old or something, I suppose. And these aren't sort of little shacks or something. These are $1.5 million a piece properties. She's just inherited or recently inherited a $1.2 million property, and she's dating now a guy who is also comes from a reasonably well-to-do family, but he's like an industrial chemist, and he's invented some new shit that's doing quite well, and so he's got plenty of money, and he's just gifted her $130,000 motor vehicle. Here you go. Here's something. Now the men, because they're quite well-to-do, that she was married, are both paying alimony, and she weighs still the child. The newborn child's about a year old, or give or take, and she then divorces these men, and again gets the house and the furniture and alimony and so on. She's manufactured it somehow that both the children have special needs, which means she gets a special amount of alimony. So she's got 3 properties that she got for free, two of them through divorce. And she's collecting somewhere around 100. She's got no debts. All the houses are fully owned and free. So she's got no rent or mortgage or something like that to pay. So she's collecting close to $100,000 in alimony each year, which is supposed to cover school costs and things like that. Through various machinations, she's made it next to impossible for the ex-husbands to have any contact with the children, and accusing them of whatever. She's now again dating this other well-to-do guy, and I don't understand what's in it for him. He's no Hollywood movie star. He's not some good-looking photogenic dude or anything, but he comes from reasonably well-to-do circumstances. And now, if I was sort of dating, say I was in his age, late 30s or something, I was dating a woman who'd scored 2 free houses through divorce, and 2 children, and the alimony. So that to me would be like screaming red flags of hey, I've got to get out of this situation real quick. She's not bad looking. I wouldn't call her smoking hot, and she's quite sort of small and petite. She's not my type, but I can see how men would find her attractive. I just can't see why he would. Why would someone like him at his age and his wealth and circumstances, why would he be interested in a relationship with someone who's twice divorced, with 2 children that are some other, 2 other men's children? I don't follow that. The guy, this industrial chemist dude she's dating, the one who gifted her a $130,000 car, which gives an idea of just what sort of wealth that he's got. I would just, in a little bit that I know him, I don't know him well, but looks like he's had a very domineering mother, and I think she plays the dominatrix a bit, and that's sort of something he can relate to and he's familiar with, and maybe it's along those lines. Now, when I first met her, she's a devious fuck, and she fixed me with a certain sort of stare and a look of, can I control you? Can I own you? Can I flirt with you and make you mine? So I own and control you. Can I, or are you someone that I can't control? Now, I don't think she's attractive. Again, certainly not my type. I don't think she's that attractive. And when she does the little flirty, girly thing, it has no effect on me. I could see that irritated her and annoyed her straight away. So within probably 60 seconds, she decided, I can't control you. You're useless to her. And she's only interested in men that she can control. And her eyes fix on. But you can see what a scheming, plotting, calculating shit that she is, that she would go through. And she's determined to avoid men who she can't. I wouldn't describe her as charming personally, but to avoid men or make sure there are no men in her orbit that she cannot control. And but just sort of dealing, and she, we've exchanged some chats, like we end up sitting next to someone at a lunch or a dinner, that sort of, and she's got this sort of, it's a practical view in many ways. Look, if I'm going to have to date a guy, I might as well date a guy who's got money. I don't want to have to work. The only work I think she's ever done is like a new home sales showroom or something where she does and then you can see she's got the blonde hair bimbo type smile that she puts on. So I think she could do, but even that she only does sort of part-time, or I don't think she does it now, but has done so. And then she's swanning around in, again, designer label clothes and so on. The children aren't wearing designer label clothes, by the way. They're definitely being dressed by Walmart. So she's got this thing, and she says, "Well, why would I have a relationship with a poor man? Why would I have a relationship with a guy where I've got to work 40 hours a week and bust my ass just so we can own some shitbox house in the back of nowhere? Why would I do that?" Now she's worked out somehow, I'm not sure how, it's a girly thing. She has worked out that men with power and money are somehow attracted to her. And I don't know why, because again, I don't think she's smoking hot or anything like that. But men with, or she's learned how to attract them, or it was a natural thing that had happened and she's capitalized on it. I'm not sure which, but she's worked out the men with power and money will sort of do what she wants. She can kind of tell them what to do and control them to some point, and then discard them when she's got what she wants. Now, she's sitting down plotting, okay, I'm going to target rich men so I can have a relationship with them, then get rid of them and get a free house. I think that should be a crime. If she's not in it for the long haul, and she go, he was an ass, he was an oppressor, or he was a misogynist Nazi. So, she can do all that. But the reality is that she, quite brazenly, in my view, sits down, looks at each man she looks at, is, okay, can I control you? What assets do you own? Okay, I can control you, and you own houses. Right, you'll do. I'll have a relationship with you. And I think it's about as straightforward as that. And she's pretty much admitted as much. And when, don't you regret sort of like, don't you think it's sad that you loved someone once and then you no longer do? No, I never loved them. And then she sort of laughs at me with all a sneering tone, thinking, well, you don't know what you're talking about. But she sees it as she's just being practical. I'm being practical. I want to live a good quality life, and I want to live the life of someone with wealth. And to do that, I must steal it from others. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. And by the way, the Western world and the government, the globalists and the people that gin up gender warfare and all this sort of thing, they agree. They're underwriting her. They're helping her. They're leading her by the nose, helping her do it. Whereas I think it should be a crime which attracts serious penalties. You've been fantastic today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.